Good morning. It is just a couple minutes after 7. And, well, supposedly sunrise, but I'm seeing less evidence of the sun this morning than we did yesterday. The temperature is in the low 40s, 42, 43, I believe. Well, that's what the thermometer says. So once again, we'll try to have a little bit of breakfast and pack up as quickly as we can, although it's never that quick. It's about 10 minutes after 8, so once again about an hour and 10 minutes to get everything packed up and to get breakfast eaten. So we have 11.9 miles to go today, according to the plan, Catlin Bay, on Long Lake. And about halfway during the day, we're going to go over a ridge of Blue Mountain, which is otherwise unnamed, apparently. And so it's commonly referred to on this trail as the height of land. So that's about 3,000 feet, I believe, and we're at about 2,000 now. So it'd be a 1,000-foot elevation gain. So it's clearly the biggest climb, not only on this trip, but the whole trail. So we have that to look forward to. All right. No other real features. Well, there's a road crossing and then a little road walk. But we'll see what we see as we go along. So a little over 5 minutes into our hike this morning, we come to an intersection with a nice stream, which has a bridge. So there's a side trail, Yellow Blaze side trail, that goes out to Route 30 and is a way you could get to Blue Mountain Lake and its post office, and I believe there's a little store there. And the sign for us says it's 12.8 to Long Lake Village, which we're not going to, and 11.9 to Catlin Bay, and it was, I thought, 11.9 back from the Lean-to, and 22 to Shadow Clearing, and don't hold your breath for that. And back the way we came, it says it's a mile to O'Neill Lean-to, which is not the one we stayed at. It's the one before that, and it's more than a mile. So, once again, the mileages on these signs in the Adirondacks are to be taken with a grain of salt. I've never seen the directions to be wrong, though. That's the way to go. All right. Well, we'll keep walking. Oh, wait. I got a message from my wife just after I left camp, and she reminded me of something I'd forgotten. Today is my birthday. I'm 62 years old. So the secret to my long-term backpacking success is to be born lucky, and it's mostly knees. Those are the things that generally go first. I was born lucky. It's now 9:15. So we've been hiking just about an hour. And we've come pretty close to 2 miles, and we've hit a woods road, and a pretty, one in pretty good shape, but travelable by automobile. Although I don't know that it's accessible; it might be gated, down the way. Anyway, when you get here, well, you want to turn right and go up that way. Over here's a sign, or a couple signs. All right, and if you can see that, it says the trail goes right, as I said, and it goes behind me, which is where we came from. That's clear enough. And down that way, I don't know if you can make them out, but there's a couple of the blue discs. And then there's a sign here that points up the trail in the correct direction, and that's all well and good. But this sign violates one of my backpacking tricks, which is that markers and signs that pointing back the way you've come on a trail can help you determine where the trail is if need be. And this sign is visible from the wrong direction. It's if you were coming, southbound, I doubt you'd ever seen this sign. Anyway, that's annoying. In the message my wife sent, she also said it was supposed to be sunny today, and it's not. It's been pretty much completely overcast since we've gotten up. So, well, maybe it'll become sunny. All right, we're going to follow this for a little while, and then we'll continue on our way to the height of the land. So after about 10 minutes of road walk, you come to the place where the trail leaves the woods road. That's 10 minutes if you just walk straight through. If you stop and do something foolish like enjoy yourself or take in the view, it might take you a little longer. And there is a place just before you get here where on one side you can see, if you're walking northbound, there's a no trespassing sign and there's some survey tags. On the other side, there's a sign that indicates you would be entering, and so you're actually leaving a forest preserve. And I really gave some serious thought that I'd missed the trail, but it's only maybe 100 feet further. So on we go. I think we're going to start our slog up to the height of the land in earnest pretty soon. We're at 2,100 feet, so if it really is a 1,000 foot gain, maybe we've done 100 of it. It's 5 minutes of 10, and time for a hiking tip. Here we have a blowdown, and a fairly fresh one. There actually have been very few of these of any consequence, so they do a pretty good job of clearing them, but this one probably came down, not very long ago. So it required a bit of scrambling to get under. And here on the ground, underneath the blowdown, is a sock. That sock was probably on the top of somebody's pack, drying. That's a pretty common approach to drying your socks. And it got scraped off when the hiker went under the blowdown. So the tip is, whenever you have to scramble under a blowdown, when you feel some dragging on the top of your pack, or even if you don't, once you get through the blowdown, turn around and look, and make sure there's nothing on the ground or hung up in the tree itself that got snagged from your pack. Just a habit to get into. So it is 10 minutes after 10, and we are at a clearing that's quite lovely. And anyone who takes pictures or video of this section of trail, will always include this area. The guidebook tells me that this used to be a beaver pond. And used to be means prior to 2007. It doesn't give a name for it. Apparently, it doesn't have a name. But well, I'll let you take a look. So that's the way we're going. The GPS is telling me that our current elevation is 2,300 feet. We're just a little below that. The way I'm getting that, by the way, is it's coming from the Delorme, but that's in my pack behind me in an outside pocket. I couldn't possibly reach it, but the companion app that's on the iPhone communicates back and forth via Bluetooth, so that's how I can find that out. It's too bad we don't have the blue sky that the forecast indicated we should have. And the temperature is about 54. So that's probably preferable to it being the 63 that the forecast told us we were going to get. So it is about 12 minutes after 11, and apparently the actual precise high point of the land is not really marked. I think I've passed it. Studying the map on my iPhone program that's linked to the GPS. So when you get up here, there's a little ridge walk where the land falls away towards the north. And somewhere along there has got to be the actual point. But we should be starting down pretty soon. And it's actually 4.4 miles down to Route 28 North. So that'll eat up a large part of the afternoon. And not a lot to see along there. Unless I'm surprised. All right. That was a good little climb, by the way. You know, only 700-800 feet from the beaver pond, former beaver pond, but it got me breathing hard and sweating a little. It's about 20 after 12, and I just thought I'd check in. Not really much to talk about. The descent from the height of land was quite a bit steeper, it seemed to me, than the ascent. So if you're headed southbound, I think you're going to work harder to get up there than if you're headed northbound. Once we got down and lost most of the elevation, got back down to the 2,000 foot level roughly, the trail smoothed right out, and I've been zooming along, or at least that's what it feels like. Won't be able to really tell for sure until we get out to Route 28. We came out onto a woods road just a few minutes ago. Not as nice a road as the one we were on this morning, but not too bad. And we've come to an intersection, which tells me the Three Brook Loop trail is to the left. It's not the usual sign. I can look over there and see it is yellow blazed. And our trail continues towards the Route 28 North trailhead down the road. If that Three Brook Loop trail is the one I'm thinking, then it should come back out onto the Northville-Placid trail in a bit. We'll see. So the sun has come out quite a bit, and there are some clouds up there, but also quite a bit of blue, so that's nice. And the temperature is up to 58, so maybe we'll hit that 63 if the sun stays out a little bit, in which case I might have to lose the hat. I'll start to sweat, but it's still mostly downhill from now. Okay, that's about it, and we'll talk again at Route 28. It's about exactly 1 o'clock, and we have hit Route 28N. 28N is 28 north. That doesn't mean northbound. It's the northern iteration of Route 28. There's a nice big parking lot here, which is also completely empty. And across the way is Tirrell Road, where the trail goes for a bit. And we see some sky now, and it's more blue than clouds right here anyway, for now. So in checking the map, I see we should have about 7/10 of a mile to walk on Tirrell Road, and then 1.1, I think it was, to Catlin Bay. Now, I should say that when Rob and Ed hiked this section, at the beginning of the day, they announced their intention to stay at Catlin Bay. But at the end of the day, they ended up at Hidden Cove Lean-to, and they never explained why. So I don't know what that means. We might find, maybe just someone was there and they wanted to move on, but maybe there's no place to hang a hammock there. We'll see when we get there. Well, it's a trudge up a long hill, and it's not really well marked, but just stick to the road. When you get to the top of the hill, there's a big parking lot. The parking lot itself is unmarked, but I can see just down there is the sign saying the trail enters the woods, and there'll probably be a trail register there, and we'll take care of that. It's now about 22 after 1. We began our day today at Tirrell Pond Shelter. We then proceeded north, passing a side trail to Blue Mountain Lake area. We came to a woods road, followed that for a short distance, and then began our climb up to the height of land. We followed a ridge for a bit and then descended back down to about the 2,000 foot level. We crossed Route 28 north and then took Tirrell Road and back to the trail to Catlin Bay. It's about 8 minutes of 2, and we have found one of the two Catlin Bay shelters. We'll take a look around this one and then take a look around the general area and see if we can find the other one. It's 10 after 2, so after 20 minutes of wandering around, and actually I hardly ever read the actual trail description, but I did in this case, and otherwise I never would have found it. But I have finally found Catlin Bay Lean-to number 2, and it's sunny, and I think will continue to be sunny. I think we'll get sunset over there someplace. And across the lake you can see vacation homes. This side of the lake is all parkland, but that side is not. But they're not all squeezed in, as is so often the case. So that looks all very pleasant. Well, it's about 3 o'clock, and I've got my basic camp setup chores done. So I'll give you a tour of Catlin Bay Lean-to area. I was going to say a brief tour, but it's not going to be that brief because it's a big area. So really to start, we're going to go back out to the Northville-Placid Trail. Actually, beyond that, we're going to go back to the start of a relocation due to beaver activity. It'll make more sense when I get there. So as you're approaching Catlin Bay, northbound, you'll come to a place where there's an arrow pointing left. Now obviously there's trail that continues straight, and you can see down there a little bit, and it looks pretty beavery boggery. So you can pretty quickly reach the conclusion that we've got a relocation due to beaver activity here. In fact, the 2007 guidebook doesn't have the relocation, and it talks about bridging and stuff across the beaver bog area, and they obviously eventually gave that up. So we turn left here, which is really towards the lake. So after a few minutes walking, you'll come to this boulder field, which is actually the outflow from the beaver bog. And there's a disc on the other side, ablaze, so we need to cross this. So after you cross the boulder field and climb the other bank, you can see Catlin Bay #1 up off to the right, and we've been up there. And actually, the trail, Northville-Placid trail, will now continue back up in that direction, I'm pretty sure, to rejoin its original route before the relocation. So, having found lean-to #1, I started looking for lean-to #2, and I wandered down towards the lake. And I'm not going to retrace my steps all the way, but basically, if you turn right and head north along the bank of the lake, there's this open grove of pines and cedars, mostly, that goes on and on and on, and I don't think I did get to the end of it. And there's a privy or two up there and a few fire rings and lots of places for hammocks or tents, but no shelter. So I finally broke down and read the manual, or in this case the trail guide, and tried to decipher it, and it seemed to be telling me that I needed to go back across the boulder field. And having done that, to basically parallel the shore and find either a peninsula or an island. Now, what trails there are indistinct at best, but it's easy enough to walk through these woods, and there's a privy over there, so we'll keep going. And eventually we come down to a little beach area that has a picnic table, and the path continues on, and we're on a little isthmus here. And the trail guide says at certain times of year, to get over to this next piece of land, you might have to wade waist deep in water. And if I look over at those rocks over there, you can see there does seem to be a water line that's about 5 feet higher than the water is now. So I'm tempted to believe that that's true. So now we're climbing back up onto higher ground, and we're basically now facing the same way we were facing when we walked in, and it's more open woodlands. And way over here to the left, the roof of the shelter just comes into view. And so here we've got our hammock camp, just a few feet from the shelter. So I hope that wasn't too long-winded, but I don't know how I could have done it with fewer words. So I am concerned about the breeze, but I'd have to go a long way inland to really get away from it entirely. So we're going to deal with it, I guess, and hope there isn't a lot. All right, I'll look around and see if I can find something else to do to take up my time until dinner. It's about 5:04, and the sun has gone behind some clouds. Actually, there doesn't seem to be a lot of blue sky left, which in one respect is unfortunate, but without that I'd be staring straight into the sun right now, so we don't like that. So we'll live with this. Let's see. Some reflections on the hike. So far, we have seen no one. Not a single hiker. And we're halfway through in terms of days, not quite miles yet. So that's a little bit surprising. I think I mentioned, on the first day there were a couple of guys who signed the register back at Wakely Dam on the same day I did, so they were ahead of me, but I never caught them. The one guy signed out off the trail back at Route 28 North, so he's no longer ahead of me. The other two guys and two dogs, they keep putting in the register. Back at Route 28, Lake Durant area, they signed out south of the road one day and signed in the next day. So they spent the night somewhere in there. I assumed at Lake Durant, but maybe they went into town, Blue Lake. And then the same thing at 28 North. They signed out yesterday, October 5th, on the south side, and after the road walk on Tarbell Road, they signed in this morning on the 6th. So, but even so, we assume they signed in the morning, this morning, and so that they're pretty much a day ahead of me. So I'm not catching up to them. Don't know if it was their sock and their dog leash I saw on the trail in two different places. Anyway, we're sitting here now and having a cup of cocoa, partly to hold me over till supper and partly to get it out of my pack because cocoa's heavy. And then we'll think about what else to do. I think I am going to preemptively drop the tarp down well below standing height, so because having the shelter, I don't get dressed in there and don't need to stand up in there really, and it's the breeze kicks in pretty frequently, so I think that'll be the best course of action. And I may need to tie out the side panel pulls and probably deploy the doors. Let's see what else. Not to brag or anything, but it's now 3 days and my feet are still dry. One foot got a little damp today when I took a misstep in a boggy spot, but I'm pretty happy with that. But on the other hand, I don't think it will continue. Well, there are a couple places in Rob's video where waiting was required, so if they're still there, then obviously this trend will not hold through. Well, I think that's enough blabbing for now. We'll sip the cocoa and play with the tarp and think about dinner. It's about 4:30 now, and for dinner today we're going to have Babelfish 5's shrimp and sausage jambalaya. So, following his instructions, we're going to put that in the pot and cover with some water and let that sit pre-soak for 10 minutes before putting it on the heat. So, as I mentioned, I'm concerned about the breeze off the lake. Odds are it'll die down after sunset, but then again, it might not. So, I've dropped down the tarp to give me more protection. The wind is pretty much coming from. The wind is pretty much coming from that way. More end on than side on. I picked these two trees kind of parallel to the shore because I figured if there was a breeze it would come straight in, but of course not. Anyway, so I've dropped it down about as low as it can go. I've pulled out the panel pulls on the windward side using this bridle, which stays attached, and then a piece of string down to a stake. So we'll see how that works. I've done that kind of thing before and it's worked out okay. And we've got the doors closed at this end. And I've kind of moved these two stakes in a little bit to give the doors a little more overlap. I think this is going to work all right. And at the moment I have the two doors on the foot end, which is kind of leeward just tied back out of the way, because I don't think they'd add any really if I close those doors. So this is something new for me. I haven't ever tried to do this before, so we'll see how it goes. This really wouldn't work at all if I had the bug net. It would interfere altogether with the gear hammock that's attached to the tarp ridge line. It's kind of not going to work that well as it is now, but it'll work. All right, that's that. Okay, so our jambalaya has been sitting for at least 10 minutes, just soaking. And I'm kind of surprised. I'm not sure I've really looked closely, but stuff in there really did swell up to a significant degree. So I added a little more water in addition to what I had before, which I thought was generous then. So as I pointed out in the past, the issue with the rice-based meals is they absorb a lot more water than the other meals seem to, the pasta-based meals. So if there's not enough water, then the rehydration process kind of short circuits. So we want to make sure there's a lot of water, and if really there's a little extra water and it ends up being a little soupy, I don't really care. I need hydration here on the trail anyway, so it'd be more soup than not. Fine. So right at the very end of my little diatribe there on rehydrating the jambalaya, my battery went dead. So that's 2 batteries dead at the end of 3 days. I think we're all right on batteries. Anyway, so I thought I'd take a few seconds and talk about how I store the batteries. So I have a total of 5 batteries. And I put them all in little teeny Ziploc bags, which they just fit in. And I do that so there's no chance that the contacts for one battery would ever touch the contacts for another battery, which seems to me like it would probably be a bad thing. So, but both the charged batteries and the discharged batteries all live in the same bag, and I need to be able to tell them apart. And the anal retentive way I do that is that in the bag, the charged batteries go in the bag with their contacts pointing up. Because if the contacts are pointing up, I need a way to remember this, so this is the way I remember it. If the contacts are pointing up, that means the electricity won't leak out. If the contacts are pointing down, and it was a charged battery, well, then the electricity would run out. It's just like good luck running out of a horseshoe, right? So all the charged batteries get stored in the bags this way, and once one is discharged, I put it in the bag the other way, and that way I can tell the charge from the discharge. Makes perfect sense. Okay, the jambalaya came to a boil, and I let it boil for a minute maybe. Jambalaya can be a little chewy, so maybe that'll help. So then we're going to put it in the koozie and let it sit for half an hour. The directions say 20 minutes, but I do everything half an hour now. Okay, so here once again is shrimp and sausage jambalaya. And it does have some excess liquid in it, which is okay with me. I wouldn't call that soupy. If somebody served you that and said it was soup, you'd say it's too thick to be soup. Or I would. Anyway, I'm happy with it. And now I'm going to eat it.
It's about 20 after 6, and, well, there's nothing more going on here tonight, other than me reading my Kindle again. It's still about 60 degrees, so a little warm to get under my top quilt. But it'll cool off eventually, I'm sure. All right, well, see you in the morning for another great day of hiking. Another around 12 miles tomorrow. But we'll see that then. Good night.